Has the Arizona Supreme Court just cleared the way for nearly 100,000 undocumented immigrants to vote in the election? Sounds like that would be pretty bad if they did, huh? It sure seems bad according to how certain media outlets are covering this story. From Fox News, headline, Arizona Supreme Court rules 98,000 people whose citizenship is unconfirmed can vote in pivotal election. And on Twitter, this right-wing doofus, Gunther Eagleman, gives voice to what I have discovered is the typical far-right reaction to this story. Insanity! This is where the United States Supreme Court should step in and stop this. Illegal aliens should not be allowed to vote in our elections, ever. Is that what this ruling by the Arizona State Supreme Court means? Will, quote-unquote, illegal aliens be allowed to vote in Arizona in this upcoming election? It probably will come as no surprise to most of you that the answer is no. This will not allow illegal aliens, quote-unquote, to vote in the election. The Arizona Supreme Court has not cleared the way for 100,000 undocumented immigrants to vote in the election. Here is the real story, courtesy of NPR. Headline, Arizona's High Court rules that thousands can vote a full ballot after records flaw. Notice the subtle difference between this relatively reasonable-sounding headline and the more alarmist version that I read to you a moment ago from Fox News. Anyway, this NPR story written by Wayne Schutsky explains the significance of this Arizona Supreme Court ruling and what it means for the upcoming election. Quote, the Arizona Supreme Court on Friday ruled that nearly 100,000 voters will be able to cast ballots in state and local races this fall after election officials discovered a flaw in the state's voter registration system that could have disqualified the voters from weighing in on those contests. The discovery of the flaw came just weeks before early ballots hit mailboxes. A state law that went into effect in 2004 requires Arizona voters to provide proof of citizenship to register to vote in state and local elections, though individuals who don't provide proof can still register to vote for federal offices like President and U.S. Senate using a federal-only form. Arizona's voter registration system pulls information from the state's driver's license database as a method of proving citizenship, but the Maricopa County Recorder's Office found a flaw with the database, which showed that some people provided proof of citizenship when they applied for a driver's license, when in fact they may not have. And this next bit is the crucial detail, so pay attention to this. The issue affects a tiny fraction of the roughly 4.1 million people registered to vote in Arizona, some 98,000 voters who got a license before October 1st, 1996, says Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes on Tuesday. So the right wing is reacting to this Arizona Supreme Court decision as though it is just falling into the evil master plan of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to register all of these undocumented immigrants and to have them vote in this year's election. That is a lie that Donald Trump has been shamelessly perpetuating for months and months and months, if not years. Democrats are registering all of these undocumented immigrants to vote, and they're going to use them to turn the election result in their favor. That's why they're having all these people come into this country. That's why all these undocumented immigrants are flooding across the border. They're flooding across the border and they're registering to vote. And this decision by the Arizona Supreme Court is going to allow that to happen. It is completely unlawful and unconstitutional, and we're turning our elections over to people who aren't even citizens of the United States. That's the Republican version of this. That's the lie that is being told him. This decision is being manipulated and twisted and misinterpreted as evidence for that. You see, it's what we've been saying all along. There it is in black and white. The media is even reporting on it for once. The Arizona State Supreme Court has been compromised by Kamala Harris, and now they're going to let all of these undocumented immigrants vote. If you actually read the story and you look into the details of what this case is and what this court ruling covers, it has nothing to do with illegal immigrants, with undocumented immigrants, and it certainly has nothing to do with anybody who has come to this country any time recently. It's about people in the driver's license database who were required to provide proof of citizenship who may not have. Some of them may have, and it just isn't registered properly. And they're people who first got their driver's license in 1996. So not only is it a tiny percentage of registered voters in Arizona, 98,000 out of 4.1 million, it's people who have been in the database and have been registered to vote in Arizona since 1996. I hate to say it this way because it makes me feel awfully old. I was a junior in high school in 1996. That was 28 years ago. That was almost 30 years ago. So somehow a glitch in a driver's license database that affects people who registered to vote almost 30 years ago is evidence for the influx of undocumented immigrants that are supposedly streaming into this country to sway the election to Kamala Harris. Oh, and by the way, it wouldn't be used to sway the election to Kamala Harris anyway, because the Arizona law only requires proof of citizenship to vote in state and local elections. These people, these 98,000 people, they could have voted in the federal election, whether the Supreme Court had ruled this way or not. It only affects their registration and their ability to participate in the state and local elections. So no matter how you slice it, the details of this story completely negate, completely contradict, completely invalidate the narrative that is being pushed regarding this by extreme right-wingers to say that this is just the Democrats gearing up to steal this election. No, it's not. No, it's not. You lying doofuses. It has nothing to do with that. It is a database glitch that has been corrected, or that has not been corrected but has been recognized, and the court has said, okay, we're going to let these people vote in the upcoming election, and then we'll see about correcting this glitch later on. It has nothing to do with the federal election at all, and it doesn't have anything to do with people who have come to this country recently, legally or illegally. It deals with people who were first registered to vote in 1996, or even who got a license before 1996. Actually, now that I'm looking at the article again, some 98,000 voters who got a license before October 1st, 1996. So it could be people who have been registered to vote for even longer than that. So this is a complete non-story. It has nothing to do with affecting the integrity of the election. It's just allowing people who are already registered to vote and maybe didn't have all the documentation as provided by Arizona's law that they can vote in this election, and we'll sort it out after the election. And one of the reasons that the Arizona State Supreme Court gave for ruling in this way is because they said we're so close to the election that it would be disruptive to purge this many people off the voter rolls this close to the election, and then to expect them all to have to re-register with the proper documentation. And they pointed out that all of these people, when they originally registered to vote, they agreed under penalty of law, under penalty of perjury, and they could be legally punished if it was found that they were lying about this. They all swore under oath, basically, that they are United States citizens and that they are eligible to vote. So if there's an investigation and any of these 98,000 people are found to have lied about their citizenship status, they're in a lot of trouble for that. And by the way, that's the standard in most of the country. Arizona is the only state with this law that says you have to prove your citizenship with documentation before you can register to vote. Most other states have something similar to what I just described. That's how it was when I registered to vote. You say, yes, I am a U.S. citizen. I swear under penalty of perjury. And if it turns out I wasn't a U.S. citizen and I was lying about it, and they found out, I would be in a lot of trouble for that. Most people who are not United States citizens do not claim to be citizens and attempt to register to vote. This is a crime that essentially never happens, like as is the case with most problems that Republicans try to solve. It's a non-existent problem. The Arizona Supreme Court ruled this way because they wanted to try to have an orderly election. They didn't want to create the opportunity for chaos at the ballot box. And I think that's one of the big reasons why the Republicans are so mad about it. If you saw Jesse's video that he put up over the weekend, he talked about the recent vote of the Georgia Board of Elections to go to a mandated hand count for ballots. And one of the major objections to that, not only is it unnecessary, but it slows down the election confirmation process, the election certification process. And it creates more of an opportunity for error because hand counts are actually less accurate than a machine count. Makes the whole process take a lot longer, and it creates an environment in which election deniers can create chaos and can undermine confidence in the result of the election. That is what Republicans want. They want chaos. They want uncertainty because they feel like they can take advantage of that. And rulings like this Arizona State Supreme Court decision are designed to minimize chaos and to have an orderly election. And that's why Republicans, I think, are so mad about it, because it makes it harder for them to sow chaos. Because they know that in a lot of places, they don't have nearly as many votes as they like to say they do. They know that their chances are not nearly as good in a lot of these states as you would think they are. And Republicans are always looking to block people from voting, to bring down voter turnout, because when voter turnout is high, Democrats tend to win. When voter turnout is low, Republicans tend to win. That's why they're constantly trying to throw people out of voter registration. That's why they're constantly erecting obstacles to make it more difficult for people to vote, because they don't want people to vote. The fewer of us that vote, the better it is for them. And the more chaotic and uncertain the aftermath of an election is, the better it is for them. That's why they're mad about this Arizona State Supreme Court ruling, and that's why they love decisions like the Georgia Board of Elections that's going for hand counting of ballots and going to stretch this process out and create so many more opportunities to sow division and uncertainty and chaos. That's the Republican game plan. And it sure would be nice if we didn't let them get away with it. Wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be nice? If we just completely defeated them on Election Day this year, and then at least for another few years, we didn't have to worry about this quite so urgently. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Let's do that. Can we do that? Well, that's it for me. My name is Steve Shives. I am sitting in for Jesse Dollemore all this week. If you would like to see more of me, perhaps more of me than anyone should want to see, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Steve Shives. You can also follow me on social media at the links provided in the description. And don't forget, if you are for some reason not subscribed to this channel, to Dollemore's channel, make sure you subscribe to this channel. I don't think you will regret it. And just a reminder, we do have an election coming up on November 5th. So if you are one of my fellow Americans and you are eligible to vote, don't forget, please double check your registration, especially in light of stories like this. And if you can do more, please do more. But at the very least, don't forget on November 5th to vote. Thanks for watching. See you next time.